Good morning, everybody. We're back with a new podcast. We haven't been doing any of these lately because things kind of slowed down. Are you there, Mike?
I'm here, Big Jim. We're ready for the big Super Bowl weekend. We're going to go out with a bang, give the listeners some winners on the sides, the total, some props. We started out with a real good season. It tailed off a lot towards the end.
Sure.
Our weekend wasn't good, but the last 2 weeks I rebounded, so I'm feeling a little bit optimistic this weekend. Maybe I go out on the winning side. I'm still up a little bit, but I was up a lot in the beginning. So
yeah, you sure were. I mean, the beginning was red hot, cooled off. I mean, ice cold the last couple of weeks for me. Focusing on basketball now, it just goes like that sometimes. I'll go back to last year. We did this podcast, and I remember that even though you lost like 75% of the game, you ended up winning.
Yeah, it was on I told you, you're going to get one for Fat Andy. I told you that in Tom DeMarco's. I said, I feel it. They played a good, last 10 minutes was strong, and Garoppolo couldn't make a pass when he needed one, but Mahomes and Kansas City made the plays when it counted, and we got the victory there. And this year, I'm going to go on the other side. I don't think he gets 2 in a row this year. I think if he could find 3.5, I know they're out there here and there. I would lean that way. I didn't play that. My play's mainly going to be a teaser. Tampa Bay with 10.5 and under 63.5. Because I figure it's a close game, but I don't think there'll be as many points. The defense. I think Tampa Bay's defense is going to be the key in this game. I even found a total of 28.5 at Boyd Gaming for the first half, so I jumped on that a couple times. And I went yesterday for more, and it was 28, so I left it alone because I like that extra half a point, even though I don't think they're getting to 28. But that's just my opinion on it this year. I have 2 good coaches, the GOAT, and the guy who wants to be the GOAT. So we're going to see it. I think eventually Mahomes could get to some pretty good status as a player. The kid's really good, very talented. He has a good coach, but to me, you want me to continue about this game?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So they played in week 12. Okay. So Tampa Bay played 12 straight weeks. Their bye week is week 13. Since then, they win 7 straight. So you figure, they played 12 straight weeks. They had no spring training, this or that, what goes on. So come week 12, I think they had to be pretty tired out. They lose by 3, but they were down 17. 3 isn't the real figure in that game. They got beat down. It could have been worse. But like I said, I think after 12 straight weeks with no training camp and this and that, they were tired out. Because you come off the bye, you win 7 straight. You beat Rodgers, you beat Breeze, who I think is shot anyway, but you still beat some classy guys along the way to get to this point. It seems the Chiefs, they played real good in the beginning of the year. The last 10, 11 weeks, they didn't cover the spread much. It seemed like they could turn it on when they wanted to. They had some close games. The Browns really gave them a battle in that playoff game. Buffalo was no competition. I didn't think they would be. So now you got Brady, 7 games in a row. He's at home. Their team is healthy. They're going to get guys back that didn't play in week 12. The cornerback or safety, Dean, I don't know, he's one of those. He didn't play in week 12. Vita, the lineman, the 390-pound lineman, didn't play in that game. And so he'll be a clog in the middle there with Sue to stop the run. Then you got J.P. Paul and Barrett on the end coming from Mahomes. And you got White and a couple other linebackers that are very talented. I think this is a game, like I'm saying, where this Tampa defense, they win this game for them. I really feel it. In the beginning, when it was first out who was going to play, and I said, gee, the Chiefs are pretty tough, but it's hard to bet against either one of these quarterbacks for me, Jim. But I think you got to go with the GOAT, and you got to go with the defense. They're going to be home. The weather might not be the best. Could be some rain. maybe 70 degrees, but, you get the humidity there. Kansas City isn't used to that humidity. And now Brady, who didn't used to like it when he go down to Miami when he played with New England, well, now he's been there a year, so maybe his blood's thinning out a little bit like ours has over the years coming from the East Coast over here to sunny Las Vegas. But, Andy Reid will definitely have a good game plan, and so will Arians, and Todd Bowles should be okay in this game. I think he'll have some stuff for Mahomes, and Spagnola's had some good luck as a defensive coordinator for the Chiefs and the Giants against Brady. They know you got to push him up front, get him off his spot, but they protected him very well this year, and I'm just, like I said, I'm on this Tampa defense. I'm very impressed. This reminds me of the Giants when the Patriots were 17-0, and Brady was riding high with Moss and everybody, and the Giants defense with Michael Strahan and that group, and they took apart the 17-0 Brady. They only I think they got 14 points in that game, and I think this is a similar game and a similar outcome, where the defense here knows that they have to play very strong and they might have to win this game, even though you have the GOAT. I think they know that they have to control Mahomes, and they got to get to him and put pressure on him like he hasn't seen all year or last year even. But another key for me is Tampa Bay. Their method here should be to run the ball, take that shot clock, the time clock down to 5 seconds. Brady should be able to do that. Manning was very good at that. So you take possessions away from Mahomes. I think that's the other key. Take possessions away from Mahomes, and the defense put pressure on him, and that eliminates some points. Because you take a possession away, one or two, and you go 3 and out once or twice with the Chiefs, and you find yourself in a game now that you didn't think you'd be in, and the pressure will mount on Mahomes. It won't affect Brady. He's been there, seen it down 28-3. Comes back and wins in a Super Bowl. So, I mean, he has all the experience here. This is, I think, his kind of game. When the hell is he an underdog in a Super Bowl? I think maybe when they played Seattle and they played the Rams in the first one they were in. Now, they've been in 9 Super Bowls. He's 6-3. 5-4 against the spread, and I've been on them every game but one. When they lost to the Giants the first time, I took the points, the game I'm talking about in 07, and I was right. And I think that's the kind of game I'm thinking you're going to see here, because if the Tampa Bay and Bowles and Arians are smart, you got to run the clock, and you got to put pressure on Mahomes, and you take possessions away, and I think you should be able to win this game. I really do, because if you think you're going to get in a shootout and you're going to need 38 or 40 points to beat this team, you're out of your mind, because that's not happening. That is not happening. I know Brady, he's the best, but that isn't the kind of game plan I would do if I was Tampa Bay. I mean, now we got to wait till Sunday to see what they come out with, but if they play the way I'm thinking, that would be a remedy to a win here in this game, Jim.
Well,
that's my opinion.
I go along with your analysis because it's very thorough, very deep. Good job there. I will interject some things here. The weather forecast right now really does not indicate any bad weather. It's changed. And that's what it's like in Florida. Florida is like that. If you wait 15 minutes, the weather forecast does change. Now, it's Thursday. We're talking on Thursday here. So when it comes to Sunday, it could be totally different. But right now, we're looking at 69 degrees clear all day and no wind. So when you look at these two offensive teams, there aren't defenses in the NFL that are designed to stop anybody these days. The rules have changed so much that all the offenses have advantages. So there's been a lot of money coming in on the under, and because I've seen 57, as I said before, it's now 56 under 15, 56 under 12, 55.5 at one spot. But if this weather forecast holds up, that might start to shift a little bit. the issues with the offensive line, which I don't think you got into, the offensive line for Kansas City has been kind of devastated. Two of their offensive linemen, the left tackle especially, and the center are hurt. And we got a pass rush for Tampa Bay that is pretty devastating. You got the Rodgers. They had 5 sacks in that game, and they do a pretty damn good job. Now, when you talk about the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, with all of the teams, any teams, they start off differently, and they ended up 17 weeks later, a different team, different chemistry, sometimes different players. And, of course, the coaching has changed. They've made moves. And these two teams are different than they were at the beginning of the year. However, more so for Tampa, they had the new quarterback come in, who is the GOAT, of course, and he's been here. This is his 10th Super Bowl, which is absolutely remarkable. And the guy's smart. He's very good. He's still good. 43 years old versus a 25-year-old on the other side. We've never had an age disparity at quarterback like we have here in this game. That's for sure. Mahomes will probably be the new GOAT going down the road as it is. But when you look at this game, it's hard to believe that Kansas City is a 3 or 3.5 point favorite. They are on the road. I mean, granted, home field this year is different because you don't have the fans. There will be fans in the stands, but and I'm sure there'll be a good share of them to be Tampa fans, but it won't be a normal home field advantage. And to make them a 3.5 point favorite in this spot is quite. I think it's wrong. I think the number is wrong. It may be 1.5, so you might have an edge in the line, and I pretty much people I talk to agree with that. So there is an edge. Now, you can take this for what it's worth, but yesterday or last night, Mattress Mike showed up in Colorado, and he put $3.4 million on Tampa plus 3.5. Now, if anybody has followed Mattress Mike, he gets a lot of attention, and you're going to hear about this over the next few days all over the news, CNN, Fox, everybody's going to report it. Mattress Mike owns a furniture mattress store. He's big. He's a multimillionaire, obviously. Maybe he's even a billionaire. But this is a brilliant move on this guy's part. He's he's figured out how to get free advertising. He's going to get like $10 million or $10 billion in advertising because he made this play. And he's done this before. If he wins the bet, he wins $3 million. And if he loses the bet, it costs him $3.4 million, which is with the juice and everything. But he gets maybe $1 billion or $10 billion worth of advertising. So it's an absolutely brilliant move on his part. I don't know if he's any good at what he does in the betting market, but he's good in business. And I don't think that should affect any of our thinking. But your analysis of it, Mike, it makes a lot of sense. I'm concerned when the game was announced. I like Kansas City. I think they're more explosive, et cetera, et cetera. They've been there. That's going to be a difference because other than Brady, there aren't that many people that have been in a Super Bowl. But Arians is an older man. He's been around. He knows he's very good at what he does. Andy Reid, of course, has got the title now. But when you start looking at these injuries to that offensive line, and I think offensive line play is very underrated. People don't pay enough attention to it. And you get the pass rush of the Bucs. They're going to cause problems. They're going to get to Mahomes. They're going to move him off the spot. Now, he is very good under pressure. He's better when he doesn't have pressure, but he's very good under pressure. And they're going to have to score some points in this game. I like the over. However, when the rain and the wind and all the other stuff started coming into the picture, I was leaning under, and I bet under 57. But now I'm seeing this forecast change, and it's starting to make me wonder whether I need to go back in and go over 55 and get off that bet because it's substantial money. And, they're the differences. Now, the explosive, you got Hill, you got Kelsey, you got Mahomes. They're very, very explosive players, but you got a lot of history with Brady, you got Gronk, and they can do the job. They got Fournette in the backfield. They got the other guy as well. This is a classic game. I think it's a toss-up. I really think the game is a toss-up. And when you start to throw in the offensive line injuries now, we should also bring this up. COVID has been around for about 10 months. It's caused a lot of devastation in the world and in the United States and to sporting events. Yesterday, the Chiefs, I guess, went for a team haircut. And the barber, who had tested negative for COVID for 5 straight days, tested positive. And they ran in and they had to pull him from doing the haircuts because now he's in contact with the players. Anything is possible over the next 3 days with regards to COVID's positives. That's on both sides, but now it's even more so for the Chiefs. It's very hard to get excited about putting big money down in advance of these games because of this COVID issue. And I think everybody needs to wait to the last minute to make their plays. And I think that's what the books are expecting. They're a deluge on Sunday once they find out who's in and who's out, because that can change in a moment's notice. We see games every day in basketball where they put lines up expecting the 15, 16 games are canceled by the end of the day because of COVID response. So right now I'm saying I'm with you, Mike, because the way it looks, the game should be pretty even. They do have a home advantage. They are sleeping in their own beds. They are at home. That's a difference. And the offensive line injuries for Kansas City are substantial. And then the COVID issue on top of it. So when you look at that, you can't ignore it. Because of that, I'm leaning Tampa.
Yeah, I hear you, Jim. Without Fisher and Schwartz up on that line, and then the center is the guy that was in the barber shop chair at the time. They drug him out. Half his head is cut, and the other half has hair on it. So, and I know it's a funny one. They showed him last night, and Mahomes was in the list of guys to get a haircut, so that would have been a real disaster. But you talk about the COVID, okay, but those offensive line guys, Fisher's a key guy, been there for years. He's one of the best. Schwartz has been out, and they even lost a linebacker. I think his name is Gay. He was a rookie, and he's been playing pretty good this year. He's out of this game. So they have seen it gone down a little health-wise, and Tampa has picked up a little health-wise. And I think that's a key thing. Those offensive line, you're right. If the right guys aren't there blocking that you're used to and that are first-class players, it makes a difference when you've got guys like J.P. Paul, Sue, Veta, Shaq Barrett. I mean, if they could get to Rodgers 5 times, and he's been protected pretty well over the years. He has got injured a couple times, mainly when he was running Rodgers. But, Mahomes is a little shifty. He's not Rodgers. He's a young kid. But still, you take them off their mark. Any of these great guys, they don't like that to get off that routine. And I think that's going to play in. I hear you with that weather. I mean, I'm not seeing what you're seeing on my phone, but you would know better. But in Florida, come Sunday, it could rain for 30 minutes. It might be clear. It could rain for 4 hours. It's gonna be. We gotta wait till Sunday to see how that really plays out. But I agree. If the weather's fine, I'm still not looking for over, even if the weather's fine, Jim, because I'm, like I said earlier, if Tampa can take the 1 or 2 possessions away from the Chiefs instead of them having the ball 10 times, maybe 8, that's going to be a key factor in the points and in the outcome of the game. Now, it all depends. How smart is Tampa Bay? We know they've seen what happened the first time they played them. They only gave up 27. Kansas City could have scored more, but they let up on a break. It was 17-0 off the bat. And then, Brady, they made a little comeback, like I said. But I think they played with them there. But I think Tampa has the edge by playing this game at home. Plus, they lost to them. This gives them an edge here. Now they have to retool what they did in that first game where the Chiefs are thinking, oh, we beat them. We could do the same thing and beat them again. That's how teams think. But when you're the losing team, like Brady. They didn't beat Seattle. They didn't beat the Saints the first 2 times, but when the game counted, they beat them. You know what I mean? When it counted, they beat Breeze. So you come in up, you have a different mindset when you lose to a team once or twice during the season, and then you meet them in a crucial game. If you're a good team and a good coaches and a good quarterback, which Tampa is, I think you come in with a different mindset here. You got to figure out what we did wrong and what we got to do now. And to me, that gives them the edge. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty good about this, better than I did 2 weeks ago when I knew they were going to play.
Well, like I said, Mike, in my opinion, the game is even, and you might give 1 or 1.5 points to Tampa for being at home. But, you know, Kansas City did toy with their opponents all year long. So you look at their point spread record, it's terrible. But they also had big leads in most of their games, and they just sat back. And it's almost like they play with, they get the big lead and they just play with it. They don't care. But, I know Kansas City is the better team overall with their skill positions and their explosiveness. But then you start taking away things. And when you start taking away this offensive tackle and that offensive tackle and that center, and, then you start saying, well, now, damn it, they're not going to be as good with those people gone. And you just can't ignore it. So right now, I'm not in pocket with the Bucs, but if the weather holds, and if the COVIDs don't, we don't know what's going to happen with that. We know the offensive line's not going to improve. The guys that they have there that are replacing them are still good, but they're going up a pretty good that pass rush that Tampa has is serious, and they're also good against the run. And the fact that the last 6 or 7 weeks, Tampa has started to improve, and they played 3 games on the road. They weren't impressive against Washington. They probably should have lost to the Saints, except for Breeze being absolutely horrendous. And then Green Bay, I don't know what the heck they were doing. Their coaching staff was absolutely horrible. So in all of those cases, I wasn't super impressed with Tampa. I don't think they're an outstanding football team, but when you look at these injuries, that really starts to neutralize things for me. And, if it wasn't bottom line is it's one game. There's 500 propositions that I think are probably, a lot of them are better bets than the game itself. And we're going to have in-game betting. Things are going to happen. We're going to see things. We're going to see if that offensive line holds up against the pass rush. And we haven't talked about it. But Kansas City's going to put pressure on Brady. And Brady is a statue. He does not move. He's not good under pressure. He is terrible against the blitz. And they're going to blitz. And Spagnuolo, by the way, we should mention this, has had a great history against Brady. He has shut him down before when he was with the Giants. And this guy has a great history. So when you really look at this top to bottom, this may not even be a playable game. It's really that dead even. The only thing is, I think the line's a little inflated to Kansas City, considering the injuries and everything. And it might be.
Are
you there?
They knew they had. Yeah.
Okay.
You hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Once they fell behind 9-0 against Buffalo, they knew they had to start, and they got going, and then they were impressive. But that win against the Browns, Jim, that game could have went either way. The Chiefs were not impressive against the Browns.
Let me correct. Let me say this about that. I thought they were very impressive until Mahomes got hurt.
Right.
When he got hurt, things changed.
Yeah, things changed, but the Browns were still moving the ball. The guy stretches out at the 1 yard line. The ball goes out of bounds. There's a touchdown taken away.
Yes.
I mean, the second half. I mean, it turned around and ended up a 5-point game, whatever. But the Browns, I think, played them tough. But do you agree with me that if Tampa Bay can find a way to run the clock a little bit and take a possession or two away from Kansas City, that Kansas City could be in trouble? Am I right?
Well, absolutely, and that is an advantage I think Tampa Bay needs to play up. They need to run the ball. By running the ball and using play action passing, they're going to protect Brady a little bit from the blitz and from the pass rush, and that will help him. Now, Brady's bottom line, we call Brady the GOAT. He's damn smart. This guy knows how to play football. And he has been at this stage 10 times, which is absolutely remarkable. Anybody that's ever got to the Super Bowl 10 times is incredible. And so you have that advantage as well. So, and then you can even go back to last year's Super Bowl, when I still have to say this, you beat me in that Super Bowl, but in that game, San Francisco won the game for a long stretch of time until the last 10 minutes or so. And there's no Garoppolo on the other side. That's Brady on the other side. So there's a big difference there.
Yeah, that'll be a difference. If Tampa Bay has the lead, you can bet they're going to win that game. This Shanahan and whatever they didn't handle that game right in that last 10 minutes or so. But you can be sure Tampa Bay will handle it right. I believe so. Like you said, though. Run the ball, screen passes. They'll have a plan so Brady don't get where he's going to be getting hit all the time. Because Spagnuolo will have the right game plan. I like Spagnuolo. It's just, those offensive guys that are out, there's two guys out, and if the center tests positive between now and Sunday, he's out. If he doesn't, he plays. Okay. So either way with him. But if he happens to be out along with the other two guys, you're going against some all-pro guys on that defense of Tampa. I mean, they know how to play. They're big guys. They'll stop the rush. I don't see the play that scares me with the Chiefs, Jim, is that when Mahomes on the reverse with either Hardeman or Hill, where they run in front of him, he pitches it to him, they go around the end, and they go 50 yards or more. That is the one play that scares me. Now, Tampa should. They've seen it. They should be ready for it. If they get beat on that play, well, then that's their fault. But if that's a play they can contain somewhat, which Buffalo could not for some reason, that's another thing works in their advantage. Now, they've had 2 weeks to figure it all out. We'll see who are good coaches or not. Because you mentioned Green Bay. The defensive guy got fired. He should have got fired. The coach, he should have got fired also. I know he's a young guy and he thinks he's a genius, but he didn't coach a good game either in that spot against Tampa Bay.
No, he didn't.
He did not do well in that game. But I know if we're running down on time, you want me to throw these 5 props out for the people?
Oh, we're good on time. Go ahead.
All right, this is from our friend Vegas Rick. He says, you lay minus 130. He believes there will be a roughing the passer penalty. Minus 130, Vegas Rick. My 4 props are, there will be a successful 2-point conversion plus 200. The shortest touchdown scored by either team will be under 1.5 yards, minus 170, because you get that penalty in the end zone. They put that ball on the 1 yard line, and you get a score there. Tampa Bay to have over 1.5 sacks, minus 180. I think they'll get to Mahomes more than one time. And I think the Buccaneers will convert a 4th down attempt. I think that's a yes, minus 135. That's it, Jim.
Well, they're good. I like them, and Rick is really good with that roughing. That's a good one. I think you'll see Brady with less yards passing than they're saying, because I think they're going to focus a little bit more on the running game, which is what you talked about as well. I think Fournette will get a rushing TD. I think Gronk is going to get some catches. Brady's very comfortable with Gronk, and I think you'll see Gronk with his first catch will probably be over 10 yards, which is typical for him. He's a big guy, can catch anything. And I think you get a good price on this. There will be 2 missed field goals in the game, and I think you get like plus almost 500 on that. That's a pretty good price.
Wow. You could be right. There's been a lot of kicks, extra points, and field goals missed, Jim, throughout the season. So, but the Gronk thing, will he score a touchdown? Plus 240. That's a nice plus price on Gronk. Get a touchdown. You know he's his most reliable guy. Him and Brown. If Brown plays, which I think Antonio Brown will play, and if he plays, I think he's going to have a big game. That's my opinion.
Well, I know one thing. Brady loves going to Gronk. Gronk and him been on the same side for a long time, and he'll find a way to get to Gronk. And that's we covered the game pretty well. We got time, so let me just say this: there's been a lot of things happening since we last spoke. Stafford goes out to the Rams. Goff goes to the Lions, plus a bunch of other things. And now we have Watson down in Texas with the Houston Texans, all that going on. There's a lot going on in the NFL. Is there any of that you want to talk about? Because we probably won't do another podcast until football season unless we do a Final Four.
All right, well, I've been a Rams fan since '67, so I'll say this. I think they did the right thing. Goff started out with Jeff Fisher, had a bad year. McVay comes in, he has a couple good years. They get to the Super Bowl. But in the last 2 years, I mean, we've seen them all. They've all made mistakes, interceptions, this, that, and the other. But it just seems that Goff, when it got to critical situations the last 2 years, he really didn't perform like he should. I think McVay's lost confidence in him. I think McVay was going to play Wolf. Well, he did start Wolford in that game in Seattle, and if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have started against Green Bay if they would have won. Like Goff came in and they won that game. I think McVay went to the owner and said, "It's time. We have to move on. We have a lot of talented players there. We've made a few mistakes, paying Gurley and paying Cooks, and now we gave Goff a lot of money. But I think we need a guy that can." We got to upgrade the quarterback position, and the owner has a lot of confidence in McVay, and so do I. I know Stafford hasn't been a winner, but he hasn't been on many good teams at all, if any. I mean, he had, one good receiver years ago. I forget what his name is. He's probably going to Hall of Fame, but I think he's a big upgrade for the Rams. He can make things happen. I know he's 33 now this week. He had a birthday, so I think they could get about 3 good years out of him. The defense is strong. They got 3 running backs. They got receivers. I think they could be the team in the NFC to beat. Sean Watson, I don't know what to say about him. I think Houston's a terrible run organization, and if he don't want to play there or play for them, I don't blame him. I'm hearing today Wentz wants to be traded now, so the Eagles, I guess they got it. They got Hurts. They wanted Hurts. They have him. So maybe you make a deal and you get rid of Wentz to somebody like maybe the Colts, where he goes back and reunite with Frank Reich. I think that's the right move for Wentz. And the Eagles drafted a quarterback to go with Hurts and let this new quarterback coach that they hired from Indianapolis work with those young quarterbacks and see where that goes. But I think Wentz needs new scenery. And other than that, Jim, I'm happy about Stafford. I think that was a good deal. I don't know what Goff could do with the Lions. They have a few talented players if they're healthy, but I think, Matt Patricia had to go. I don't know what to expect with this new guy. He was talking about breaking kneecaps, so I don't know where that takes you. I don't know. He's talking like 1960s football. I don't know where that takes you, but I wish Goff the best, but I feel like my Rams now, I think they got the right guy. I always liked Stafford. He just didn't have the players.
I agree. Stafford came out of college. He went to a terrible organization, never had the coaching or the backing or the support. He had some good players around, but and not to blame everything on the organization. He didn't raise the level, but I think he's a great fit with McVay. The Rams have managed their capital pretty poorly. They've paid too many people, too much money, and then have to pay those people to get rid of them. And so they've really managed their money terribly. But they might have a 2-year window to do something. And I think with Stafford, they have a good chance to do that. That division out there is going to be very tough. I mean, they still have Wilson up in Seattle, which I'm not real happy with Pete Carroll and all he's done up there. I think he's on the decline, but Wilson's still great if you give him the right tools. And you got the thing out of Arizona with Murray. I'm not too sure about him. He could be a flash in a pan. I'm not sure. But I tell you one thing. If San Francisco can get somebody in there that's more capable than what they have, if they can get Deshaun Watson, they immediately become the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. But I don't know if they can do that.
I like that move too. Yeah, that'd be a good place for Watson. I think he wants, he's right in wanting to leave Houston. When O'Brien was in charge of everything, coaching, whatever, he was the whole guy. He was the big guy who was making the calls. When you trade Hopkins for a second-round pick and a runner that's sort of washed up in a way, you got to be out of your mind. That would have been the next day he should have been fired, not this past year, the next day. You let a guy like Hopkins, one of the top 5 receivers, go for a second round, and a guy that's on his way out. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Look at what the Rams just paid for Stafford. He's a quarterback. That's a different position. But Hopkins is as talented as Stafford in talent sense, not as quarterback and receiver. You know what I mean, Jim? But he's as talented.
Yeah.
He's in the top 5.
Bill O'Brien was a terrible hire there. Did a terrible job. But I gotta reflect back on the ownership that does this stuff, and so yeah, it's pretty bad. But it's going to be an interesting off season, Mike. I hope to see you at lunch very soon. Hopefully the COVID will, calm down here. And
whenever you're ready, Big Jim, and yeah, let's have a winner Sunday. I hope it's a good game, and I hope we're on the right side. We want to catch some tickets, boys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, Jim. See ya.
Okay, everybody. Jim Feist Sports. The podcast, everything's there. We have games for sale. We have free information. So it's been quite a ride this football season. Not all of it good, not all of it bad. We had a good regular season. Mike had a great run in the beginning, then cooled off. I was steady pretty much for the whole year. And then the playoffs came, and it's absolutely been, well, let's just say it wasn't my best, and it definitely was my worst. So we'll try to pick it up in the Super Bowl. Like I said, I'm sitting with an under bet, but with the weather changing, that could change. But I'm going to probably stick with it because I'm under 57. And with the offensive line problems and stuff with Kansas City, I think it's going to slow that down. They might run the ball a little bit more as well. So, and we just don't know about COVID. Nobody knows about COVID until the absolutely last minute. So keep your eye on the screen. Who's getting COVID, who's out, who's in. And good luck, everybody. We appreciate your listening. Thank you.